Hello and welcome to Clamp, the Creating, Living, and Making podcast. I'm your host, Grant Alexander, and joining me this week is Adam Mackey.
Hi.
And Morley Kurt.
Yo.
How's everyone doing this week? How about you, Adam? What are you up to?
I haven't really done much this week, to be honest. I finally got all my drawers. I think I got all the drawers done last week, but all the drawer fronts put in on my workbench, put on the drawers on my workbench, which is good. Got a couple other things finished up with that, and then I was hoping to get the drawer pulls done this week, but I don't think I'll be able to. And then I work day shift for the next 2 weeks, so I guess I won't be doing it for 2 weeks. Yay.
Yeah.
No night woodworking.
Yeah.
Maybe. I'll have to see.
Yeah. It's definitely hard if you're like can't make noise.
Yeah, well, I think maybe on if it was a Friday night or a Saturday night, I could probably do it, but I don't know. I'll see how it go.
That sounds like fun. I saw the drawer fronts. You're painting them, right?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Even though my wife doesn't want me to.
I don't normally say paint wood, but there's exceptions.
I want it to have that clean, I want to repaint everything in the workshop to match and give it that sort of clean laboratory feel as opposed to a dirty shop.
Yeah.
I just not just because I think it's more inviting, but then I think it looks better on camera as well.
For sure.
It's funny that you say that because a shop project that I'm thinking of doing is literally the opposite of what you just said.
Well, I think you need to have whatever gives you inspiration needs to be the thing. And if a clean slate gives you inspiration, that's great. But if you follow Make Something, he went that full on clean slate and now he's going the opposite because he found it stopped giving him inspiration. So, but it's okay to change. It's okay to change. There's always new beginnings. But this week I've been working on, I've assembled and I'm now sitting at my new stand/sit desk. And what I've done for tonight is I disassembled my workbench, my little workbench from the office, or not the office, the furnace room. I took the plywood off that and I just put it over here on this stand desk thing.
You're against a different wall of your office now, right?
Yeah.
I was about to say the same thing. So you're to the left of where you were before?
Oh wow, that's weird. That actually looks really cool on camera.
Yeah. So
it looked like you were going down, not the desk was going up.
I am in a different spot because I still have my old desk there. This is where I think I want to put the desk, but I'm going to see. Just because there's just a weird, the way the office has some plumbing that's drywalled into it. There's some weird jut outs in the wall. So I'm going to just use the desk into that jut out because otherwise it's wasted space.
If anyone wants to see Grant's high beams that are on, you can go to the YouTube channel and watch.
Yeah.
You said they're dimmable, right? Because they're pretty bright on camera.
Yeah, I'm almost fully dimmed.
No, it looks good. Looks good.
Yeah. Wait, you have a headlight out?
Yeah, I know I do.
Okay.
Makes it more realistic.
Yeah, I originally actually was going to put on so you could do high beams and low beams, but then I ran out of time, and now that it's up, it's probably going to stay that way. Much like this desk is likely, although it is the make something work for tonight, it's probably going to be like that for a while because that's
how's the back actually while we're at that?
It's better today. It's probably the first day that it's been decent the whole time, but you'll probably, for anyone watching, you're going to see me move around different positions from sitting and standing. I have a bar stool that's just a little bit of a sit, not a full sit, so I'll
Nice.
be going to that. But otherwise, it's getting better. Definitely going to physio is helping. Going to be doing some yoga poses that are apparently supposed to help. And
Nice.
other than that, it's just getting better. Thanks for asking.
Good.
Yeah. Morley, what are you up to?
Well, as our patrons may know, there's been a lot of changes this week. So over the past while, let me back up. About a year ago, shortly after I left my engineering job,
Go.
when that, oh my God, we make that reference like once every other episode. We need to start. Bobby Shmurda needs to pay us. When the engineering job wasn't feeling right and I left and I was kind of figuring out what I wanted to do next, one of the things I thought about off the bat was teaching. I actually talked to Ken from Nerdalt, who is a great maker. I'll link him in the show notes. He does some great wood turning, and he is a teacher in the greater Toronto area, and talked to him about it. And it sounded really cool. It sounded like it would fit my personality a lot, but I think at that time I wasn't quite ready to dive down that path yet. And when I was looking for engineering work these past couple of months, it wasn't really feeling right. And I kind of came back to that idea. I talked to Eden about it a lot. And very quickly I realized, wow, this could be the perfect career path for me. So I started looking around. Long story short, I got a job at a summer STEM camp that also has a makerspace. So STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. They have a makerspace with woodworking stuff and CNCs and laser cutters and electronics. They do after-school programs. So it seemed like a great way to get some experience working with kids and keep doing some makery stuff. It sounded like the perfect gig, to be honest. And I actually started 2 days ago. So today was my second day. Yesterday was supposed to be a full day of work, but about 2 minutes after leaving my apartment, I was pulling out of an intersection, climbing a hill in my little Hyundai Accent, and all of a sudden it sounded like a dirt bike had pulled up alongside of me. I was like, oh, what is that? And then I realized that it was my car that was making that sound. And then I heard a clattering, and I was like, oh no. So I pulled over. It was not the best spot to pull over, but it was like safe enough. And I got out, and a woman across the street yells to me. She was like, your muffler is hanging off the back of your car. So I'm like, oh no. And I go around the back. I didn't see anything. So I was like, what is she talking about? And then I look underneath from the side. And at first I thought that my axle had snapped and it was hanging down. But then I have a front wheel drive car. That doesn't make any sense. And I realized that it was the exhaust pipe that had snapped at the catalytic converter, and it was hanging down facing front.
Yeah.
And actually the catalytic converter was hanging down. So I kind of went through some scenarios in my head, and eventually I strapped the pipe and hanging converter up. I actually strapped it around the levers that you pull to adjust the seats, because that was like the point of purchase that I could find. And I drove very slowly to a nearby mechanic, the whole time in my head going through like, all the scenarios like, well, good time as any to get a new car. I've been wanting a Toyota Tacoma for a while. Maybe this is the time. Because I was thinking, like, if it was so rusted down there that this just snapped from going over a bump, like, how bad is the rest of it down there? And I was going through the point in my head when I had gone to a Jiffy Lube, and they were like, you should get an undercoat. And I'm like, undercoatings are a scam. And I was like, maybe they were right. Anyways, brought it to the mechanic. Nail biter of a drive. Every once in a while I'd hear a little scrape, and it was like driving a hot rod the whole way, the whole 3-minute drive. Again, very happy that this happened. Has the same thing happened to you?
Yeah, totally. Multiple times. And we fixed them with, because in like high school, you'd fix it with like a juice can, like a tin can.
Straight pipe.
And you just like put the two together with like hose clamps in a tin can, and you'd say, I'll get it fixed later, and
Yeah.
your car's worth about the same as a new exhaust, so
Right.
you
Well,
just
I
keep
mean,
driving it.
it I don't know if that would have worked here because it snapped like right at the connection.
Right.
So there would be
Right.
nothing to connect it to.
Totally, and that's one of the weak points when you have a catalytic converter, because it's so hot. That's why it's rusting there.
Okay. Interesting.
On the corner of your streets, do you have like a pole with the street sign on it? Like a metal pole? Yeah, so my mate's exhaust fell off and he replaced it with one of those poles.
Oh, wow.
Like, not only was it just like a complete straight pipe, like literally, it was so heavy. Like, those poles are not light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
That's pretty fun. Yeah.
But it ended up being like a pretty simple repair, and the rest of the underside of the car was in fine shape. So it was like a few $100, labor and parts. And a few hours later, I actually was able to go to work that day. So it ended up being a pretty short day. But
how did they like that, though?
I mean, it's like, what are you going to do?
Yeah, but it's like, it's just so funny to start your first day.
I know,
the day
it's
that,
ridiculous.
Yeah.
If they had, like, that's a good litmus test for like, if is this a good employer? Like, if they had anything bad to say about that, then this is. But they were like, yeah, what are you going to do? Like, you had no control over that.
That's awesome.
But spent the first. I mean, it ended up just being a few hours there the first day. But I spent the first day learning the laser cutter, because that is a very central part of their operation right now. With not being able to offer in-person classes, they're doing all these kits that they're sending out to schools. So they do a lot of laser cut cardboard and plywood. So they have an Epilogue Mini. It's a great laser cutter. It's like pretty good workhorse. So I posted to my story yesterday, but some like tessellating MC Escher tiles is like a little practice project.
Those are so cool.
Thank you. Yeah, it was fun. It was
so cool.
I found like a JPEG online. So it was a little practice doing vector graphics. And then also kind of like figuring out the different power settings to get good raster engravings. And then today was learning, they have two CNCs. They're both by Carbide. What is it? Carbide Create or Carbide 3D. So they have the Nomad, which is the little enclosed desktop one. And then they have a Shapeoko, which is the 4x4. So I spent today playing around with, the Nomad, which is cool because it's all enclosed and like it's pretty quiet. It just has like a really small like bed, but it's really cool for little stuff. Mm-hmm. I'd always thought that those were kind of like gimmicky, but I could really see how like they would be really fantastic for doing small CNC work.
Yeah, like signs and small signs and stuff. And
yeah, or like even today, I mean, I was cutting some plastic to make a silicone mold. So like it was basically making a mold positive.
Nice.
But I mean, like that, it's about the same work surface as like a 3D printer. I mean, in that you can make pretty good size stuff. I was also playing with one of the DJI gimbals today. I don't know if you guys have ever used those, but they're so cool.
Not DJI.
I've looked. Oh, I've looked at them. I want one, but
you should get one. Like the one I was using, it was the DJI, I think Ohm 4, and it's one of the ones you clamp your phone into, and you like Bluetooth connect your phone. And yeah, like it's a gimbal, right? Like you can steady your motion, but it can also follow things.
Yeah,
and I mean, I didn't know this. Adam, you must get a kick out of it. And you can also set it to do like a hyperlapse. So you can set it to go in a specific motion while it's taking a time lapse. So like so much creative cinematography you can do with one of these things.
I always thought, I wonder what it'd be like if you actually set it up to follow you and recorded like walking around the shop talking about stuff.
Yeah. Like you could use it as a camera person. Yeah. Exactly. We were playing around with that today. You could,
but yeah, mine's the same. It holds your phone. So I don't really use it that much anymore because I use the DSLR. But yeah. I want to get one for my camera one day.
So cool. And I think the only downside to that is, at least the one we have, it doesn't fully rotate 360. So like you couldn't keep walking all the way around. So you would want to like put it on the corner. But some of the higher ones might be able to.
It pretty much turns around, but it won't keep going around.
Yeah.
The one it probably does like, I don't know, a range of like 300.
Okay, yeah, I didn't fully test it, but it's so cool. Yeah, so working on that, working on some assembling kits, and I'm gonna shadow a bit of lesson planning tomorrow. So lots of new stuff, lots of new crafts, and just newness. That's my life right now.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that you didn't get a new car, because then it
I
would be
know.
really a whole bunch of new beginnings.
I was kind of looking forward to maybe getting a new car, but I was like, no, I'm not. If this one's still
Could you
working, I'm
just
not going to buy a new
imagine
car.
you don't see someone for a while and they're like, oh, you got a new car? Yeah, my exhaust fell off the old one. Like, what?
Well, I didn't know, right? It's like, this was my first experience with this problem. I didn't know how serious it was.
Well, it can be serious, but
Oh,
it
yeah,
can
of
also, it all depends on, and like, luckily you stopped. So, like, I've totally had it come off, and on the race car, it's come off, and we just kept driving because you're in a race. And until they tell us to come in, we're going to keep driving. And it was like ground down to almost nothing. Like,
Yeah.
and we fixed that one with Stella beer cans and went back
That's
out for the
awesome.
next race. So, yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. Well, I think talking about new beginnings is always an interesting thing. And why I wanted to talk about that this week is because a lot of times people like to think about the new year as the only time you can talk about new beginnings, the only time you can try and like set something up as a new time to think. But, you know, with my back, like hurting my back, I've been thinking a lot about trying to get a little bit better in shape. So that's kind of a new beginning for me, because basically what I was told is, you know, your back has been compensating for the fact that all your other muscles are completely atrophied from probably sitting and not doing any exercise at all for the last year. Your back has been, you know, you just did one thing and the back said, you know what, I'm done here. You know, no, thank you. So that kind of thing. And so maybe I can have a little new beginning, get a little bit better in shape. But I also think about it, you know, you can have a new beginning for anything, right? And it's all about how you approach your life, and how you think about things. And so that's why I wanted to talk about and see what you guys' thoughts were.
Yeah. I think, you know, one of the kind of cool things about growing up Jewish is our new year is in September. So it always felt like, you know, we had like two kind of spots in the year where you could try to, you know, these like cultural constructions where it's accepted to like kind of start things off. Because, yeah, I mean, it is just a holiday at the end of the day, but when everyone is saying to you Happy New Year, like it does make you think about like, what am I going to do this year? And as a kid, it was always really nice because it it aligned with the new school year. So I've always felt as well that like the fall is a new beginning, and in many ways, like the spring is a new beginning living in a cold climate, because like you're coming out of hibernation. But I mean, those are all, you know, external excuses to try new things. And it's funny, like I think whenever you have some sort of like you know, titanic shift in your life or a new job or whatever else, it's like, you know, you spend all this time trying to like looking through applications and like looking through new stuff and planning, and then all of a sudden it's there and you just have to like start adapting, and you just have to kind of be ready for this whole new pattern of life.
It's funny because in saying that, it's one of those things that I'm always afraid of the new thing. And yet every time I've ever been faced with new job, new whatever, new challenges, I've never had a time, like I've had times where I struggled for sure, but I always am able to overcome. I'm able to, you know, deal with whatever comes at me. So I always like, when I reflect back on it with like trying to see what happened, I can come up with it and say, you know, I was able to, that new beginning was a good thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But up until it, like, you know, unless you're in a really bad situation where you hate your job, you're often not looking for a new job. So it has to be like the perfect thing, right?
Right.
So it's you're and then even then you'll turn down opportunities because you're like, oh, the grass. I do think the grass is pretty green here. Never mind, I don't want that opportunity, right? Because you're afraid of the challenge. But I think new beginnings and like accepting them and kind of embracing them, I think is a good quality to have, or at least to reflect on and potentially take them.
Yeah.
I think like it would have been difficult for me to find an opportunity that was like much more perfect than this one. I was like, this pretty much hits all of my boxes. Like it's a bit of a drive. I'm gonna have less time to like make videos, and like my productivity in that sense like will decrease. Like there are only so many hours in the day. But everything you do in life has trade-offs, and I was like, this is pretty good. And one of the really cool things about like starting a new thing like this is that you get to like play in that beginner mode for a while, which is so nice. Cause like if ever you're an old salty dog at whatever job or whatever craft, it's like you're not able to kind of like be innocent in a ways that can be very, very good. It's like I was thinking about this today. Like I don't know my colleagues yet. I've worked with them for all of a day. And one of the really nice things about that is like you don't have to try to like play politics or anything, because like you're just meeting everyone for the first time. So it feels very easy to be genuine with everyone I'm meeting for the first time, and I can like really be my full self. Whereas like as soon as you know people for longer, there's all this kind of like associated baggage. And maybe there shouldn't be. Maybe like that's a goal I should have in my life, is to like treat everyone, like it's my first time meeting them. Not that like just repeat everything about myself, but in the fact of just try to be like my genuine self with everyone, but just to be able to like,
person. Hey, what's your name?
Yeah, just to be able to be like, cause like if you're meeting someone the first time, you want to make a good impression, and like you're genuinely curious about everything they have to say, and you're not all jaded by spending hours of drudgery together yet. So that's one thing that's really nice.
I know he's trying. God, that motor is loud. I know Grant was just trying to hide the fact that it happened, but some beeping just happened. Grant gets up, walks away, comes back and opens a beer. Like his alarm went off for his next beer.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. Or like make the connection rather. I saw him run away.
Yeah. No, but I wanted to say, so you were saying you'll have less time like for making and stuff, but I know you said that you can use the tools in your spare time. Is there, and like, it's like day 2, but is there any rules against you filming your own stuff with those tools?
I just want to be like mindful and careful, like especially since there's going to be eventually there will be kids there as well. So like, I mean, we start staff training in about 2 months for the summer. So like when that happens, I guess we'll see, but I probably will be able to. I mean, we'll see. We'll just see how it shakes out.
I mean, something where like, say you want to use the laser, you would really only need to film that machine working for like 30 seconds and you have the clip you need.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean? And then so everything else you could do at home or whatever.
Please don't show an hour-long clip of the laser or the CNC or whatever. I just watch some people's videos and I go like, and it's just like nothing, and I just go, why are you showing me this? Where's the action?
I think that's what's stressing me out about my next videos. Like the video I'm editing at the moment is like, there's so many long parts that I have in there, but it's me talking. But I feel like it's things like I'm actually trying to explain what I'm doing and not just be like, hey, watch me do it. I'm trying to like teach people things as well, which is new to me as well.
Mm-hmm.
Time for some floating heads.
Some Adam floating around the screen.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, that'll be cool, Adam, in terms of this kind of new technique for the video, because like right now it may seem to you just to be like, you're trying this new thing, but it might open up a whole new, way that you make videos in the future.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And that's one of the really exciting things about like possible new beginnings is like, you don't know all the trickle down effects it's going to have down the line.
Well, it's funny, like, because I was editing this morning and I thought, like, I just feel like these parts are just too long. And then like, I kept thinking about it. And then the more I thought about it, I kept thinking back to what I was saying before about how if we don't take the risk of just putting it out there, like you know, like how many videos do you watch, or like you watch a video and think like, who would have ever thought to put that in the video? Like whoever random person put something in a video, they took the opportunity and the chance to do that. But me, I'd be like, oh no, don't put that in. That's stupid. Like no one wants to see that. But it's what makes the video funny, or you know what I mean?
Definitely.
Right. It's the same with.
Sorry, I was going to say real quick. I think about we should really try raising our hands like we say we do. I try to think about that a lot when I'm filming, and really try to be open minded about what I am filming, and try to always look out for those little, like B-roll moments that I can get, and try to add those things to videos. Because by the time you're editing, it's too late unless you want to go back and act everything out. And so, like, trying to think like a photographer and looking out for like little scenes. I actually did that a couple of days ago in this video I'm working out right now. Like, I think I got one of my favorite shots I've like ever gotten so far. And it was just because I was like, let me see what happens if I move the camera over here.
Totally. And I think, so I was listening to Because We Make earlier today, and there was an artist on there, and she was talking about how when she makes her videos, she actually goes back and actually acts out some scenes to do the B-roll. And I always thought that was very interesting. So she was saying that like she wants like, oh, I want some brush cleaning B-roll. So she'll go like clean a brush and like pretend it was part of the thing. So I just went, that's like a really good tip for like adding B-roll to something, is you can go back and do like, I'm going to strop my knife for a, it doesn't have to be the knife that you were actually stropping that day. As long as it's the knife you're using.
Do you want to hear a little?
Something like that's cool. But you can't go back and like cut your pieces of wood. Yeah,
that's true. That's a really good point. And a little inside baseball for the Cat Nook video. I went and measured the fireplace on camera right before I went to install it. And that's kind of my workflow. If ever I need to like measure something right before doing something else, I'll usually just like fake measure it just for the camera, because I don't want to have like all these minutes of like measuring, think for a while, look at my notebook, go back, and it's just like, but totally. Actually it's funny thing. Like, and I do that with like a few different steps. Like I'll try to do it more for camera, and then I'll turn off the camera and I'll do it more efficiently. But I've actually noticed that some of the times when I just film myself doing it, actually, it looks better than if I'm like trying to do it for camera. So that's something I'm kind of reconsidering.
Interesting. I wonder why that is.
You should just film absolutely everything.
Just set up a security camera.
Don't do that. That's horrible advice.
Yeah.
For those that are actually wanting to start out making videos, that is horrible advice. Do not do it.
Right. If you're looking at a new beginning in a YouTube career, then don't do security camera footage from one point of view and just speed up everything. And I'll just put this out here because it's one of my biggest frustrations. You can cut when you fumble something. You can cut that out. Just completely cut it out. 100%. Totally. Like you're like chopping on, like you're using the chop saw, and then you're like, you went to turn the board over and you dropped it, and then you pick it up and then you turn it over. You can cut all of that out. Like nobody needs to see that unless you're like making a point of it. But
yeah, well, for instance, like so I'm currently in the middle of editing the draw video because that's like where I'm up to. And to put the drawers on, I pulled them out a little bit and put a couple of dabs of hot glue to hold the face on. And then I could pull the drawer out and put some screws in from behind because I didn't want to damage the front. Mm-hmm. And when I put the first one on, I didn't wait long enough, and I went to put the next drawer front on top of that and knocked the first one off because the glue hadn't dried. I'm not going to put that in the video. It's on camera, but I'm going to cut that out. That fumble doesn't need to be there.
And there's a difference between. Oh my god! So I'm so sorry, Grant. I just keep interrupting you. So you go ahead.
No, your turn. Go for it.
There's a difference between showing a mistake that people can learn from and showing something stupid that you did that is just useless to put in the video.
Right, and like you can play it up. Like I've had times where I've included that when the music made sense, like a stop and like a drop in the beat. And that's when you drop the board. that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
But it's all about like you got to play it up.
That's creative editing. That's not part of the story. But then, so another part is that a couple of the top drawer has not fit properly, so I had to plane down the edge, and I've been trying to decide whether to actually add that in and explain the drawer. It was too big, so I got a plane air out and planed it, or just not put in the video at all.
Yeah, that's a hard one
Yeah,
because there's a chance of learning, but at the same time, it might be like extra info that doesn't matter.
exactly. Yeah.
I have that same struggle all the time.
Back to our topic a little bit. So I have a tattoo on my arm. I put a picture in the show notes that we have. It was shot on an iPhone 1 or 2, whatever that phone is in my hand. So I don't know how well you can read it. But so I have a tattoo on my arm. It says sink, suffer, self-destruct, rise, stronger, reconstruct. So it's lyrics from a song by Lamb of God, but it is like very meaningful to me in a sense that when I was younger, I lost my job at Domino's. But to me, like that was a big thing to lose. I went into a bit of depression, couldn't get a job for like a year. Eventually got to a point where I just said, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to like drop everything and just like start rebuilding like my life from here. And yeah, I just think like that's it. Like my tattoo to me means pretty much new beginnings. And
That's a really great like story to tell. How did you? What were the steps you kind of took to have this new beginning? Like, what did you do?
so I got into a point where I literally just sat on the lounge and played Call of Duty for like 8 hours a day. So I got rid of the game, like sold the game, and like stopped playing my Xbox and just like got off my butt and just like got out there and tried to get my life back together. Originally, I had like all these plans of like things I wanted to do, but I was too lazy to like put them in place. And then we have in Australia what's called Centrelink, which is like, I don't know, what people with no jobs go get money from. But then they also help you find jobs. Yeah, unemployment. Yeah. But they help you like find jobs and stuff as well. And then they got me into and paid for me to do the course to do security work. And then I got that job. And then that's what actually got me into the job that I'm in now, because I worked security for the trains and then talked to some people there, and they said you should apply for this, which I originally applied for cleaner. And then I got the job. I did the last interview, and then they decided to privatize the company. So then I didn't get the job. And then it took me like 2 more years to get the job that I have now. Yeah. So my wife was with me at the time. Like she was my girlfriend at the time of like the Call of Duty stage, but I sort of understood where the problem was and what needed to change. And then just like put my mind on getting rid of that.
Yeah. And I think that's something that, you know, scares some people about like making a big change or new beginnings, is that like a lot of times, or almost all the time, it does involve sacrifices and like getting rid of some things, you know. And I think maybe Grant, like maybe one of the reasons you're sort of like reluctant sometimes to like do a new thing, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think that's kind of what you were saying, is you have these lived experiences of doing something, and it's not just like you're trying something new. It's that like now it is a part of your life, and like you have to like commit a certain amount of like time and energy to that, and you'll have to like forego other things. So like, I mean, it's one of the nice things about being a kid is that like you're very willing to try all these different things, because, you know, like
totally
you do a sport for 3 months and then you have summer vacation, then you do another sport for 3 months, then you try another club. And it feels like, you know, kids are encouraged to try a lot of different things. But then once you become an adult, it's, I don't know, maybe I'm a little new at this whole adult thing, so I don't know if I can speak to it fully. But you know, as I've been getting older, I've been thinking a lot back to my childhood and these experiences that seemed very minor at the time. Now looking back, I'm like, wow, those are like experiences that I'll never get back. It's like this trip that I took, and I'm like, I really like took advantage of that trip. I should have like appreciated it more at the time, because when you get older, like you don't have as much time to do all these things. And
yet your parents took you on this trip.
But it still had a great, like I loved it. It was a great experience, but I'm like, oh, but if I went now, I would appreciate it way more. And that's just the curse of youth.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's, I definitely think about, like, when you said, like, trying new things, and it's definitely, like, I was encouraged a lot when I was a kid to try new things, and I was a very picky, very stubborn kid. I don't know if anyone can believe that, but
I'm that now.
But I like things that I enjoy now, I wouldn't do at all when I was a kid. Like I went to like a sleepaway camp where it's out in the woods and having all that fun stuff that I think I would enjoy now, like learning how to make a fire and canoeing and camping and stuff like that. And I just hated every minute of it because all I wanted to do was to be in the comfort space of my house.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's not like I was a kid, right? So it's not like I had any job or anything like that. Like I was like 12 years old or something, and I was just like, no, I don't want to do anything but like be at home. And obviously, my parents sent us away because they'd like to have a little alone time. But the thing I think about that is that how easy it is for you to not give yourself the opportunity to try something new.
Yeah, it's a very easy decision to make, because it also feels like you're saving yourself like heartbreak or a sunk cost. You're like, oh, I'm just
totally,
I'm being smart with my time.
Well, and so when I think about that, I think about how when you become an adult, they often try and force you to turn everything into a job. How are you going to make money at your hobby? How are you going to oh, you shouldn't play piano anymore. You're not good enough to make money at it. Right. Or you shouldn't do X, Y, or Z because like you should do it if you enjoy it. Just if you're enjoying something and you're comfortable, obviously, if you can play piano and you're not going to make any money and that's the only thing you want to do all day long, or you want to play Call of Duty all day long, but you're not making any money. If you're not a Twitch gamer, don't do that. But if you are, go for it. Yeah. Imagine if you had done that.
I played that game for at least 8 hours a day for 365 days. I played it for an entire year, every day for 8 hours. I got really good at it, and I really wish that I started a channel, but it wasn't a thing back then. I'm talking 15 years ago. I don't even think YouTube was around then. Or if it was, everyone was uploading stuff filmed on their phone. Filming the TV with their phone.
Totally. Yeah, it's such a weird thing though, eh? Because I remember playing Counter-Strike Source back when Counter-Strike Source was a thing, and I got really good at that. And if I could have been a Twitch gamer then, I think I could have. Like I've got screenshots where I had some pretty impressive things. But
on my personal YouTube, I have a couple of clips from Call of Duty.
Nice.
But it's funny, Adam, I feel like in your streak of working out for what is it, over a year now, and tracking it.
Almost 2.
You've kind of, that has become your Call of Duty, you track, metrics.
Yeah.
And it actually has positive effects on your life.
Yeah, and I'm definitely getting better at it, and I'm getting better at sharing it as well, which I think is a really big thing for me. I've always I don't know, since I was in year 4, since I was 10 years old, I've always had massive anxiety even to this day, I always constantly think of what people think of me and all sort of stuff. So trying to share all this stuff is very nerve-wracking for me, but I think it's helping me in keeping me liable, but then also knowing that I can be helping other people, I think is giving me that sort of push to keep going.
Totally. Yeah, it's definitely one of those things that, like, the anxiety of doing something new, even if it's good for you, is
Yeah,
one of those things
100%.
that I always think about.
Yeah, and that's what I was about to say. So, like, I remember, I can still to this day remember the first time I stepped foot in the gym that I go to now. I mean, I went to the gym years ago, and then like first kid came along, and I stopped going, and all that. But like, I would go there, walk on the treadmill for 10 minutes, and walk out. I didn't know what I was doing. But the gym I go to now, like, I can still remember the first day, and when a new person comes in, like, I just know how they must be feeling. And like, I'm always that first person to go up and be like, hey, like, if you need any pointers, like, and what, like, I'm trying to give them that push because I know how important it is.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they must
But
have had a good first interaction with you. I would imagine that like they had like treated you with respect and like made you feel welcome based on like
definitely, yeah. And that's one of the biggest things I like about the gym I go to is like, it's a family. Like, you go, you see the same people, everyone knows each other. Like, so I remember I was just talking to my wife about this, like, on the way home today, that so I signed up because my mate told me to. Like, he said, you should sign up. There's a competition going, a challenge about to start. You can win 10 grand. Like, just come do it with us and blah, blah, blah. And then I remember the first day he said, oh, we're not going to make it tonight. And the anxiety I've got of like having to go there without my friend. And then like,
Right.
I've been going so much now, like, without him. He messaged me the other day and said, look, I'm probably going to quit because like he wants to focus on BJJ and then like he can use the gym at work and just like save some money because like it's expensive. And I don't have that anxiety anymore because like I know I can do it on my own.
Right.
Which
The new beginning was a good thing, and now you realize, looking back at it, it shouldn't have been that scary,
exactly, 100%.
but it
Although
is.
the funny thing is, I didn't learn my lesson because like he messaged me and said, "Oh, I'm not going to BJJ tonight." So then I'm like, "All right, well, I'm not going if you're not going."
yeah.
But it's getting past that barrier though. Like, yeah, I have the anxiety, but once I learn, like once I become comfortable with the people that are there, I'll happily go without him. It's just because I need that like brave face, or not that brave face, that like known face to be there with me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like the human race as a whole right now is sort of entering a new beginning right now as we're like easing our
Definitely.
way into the post-COVID world, in the
Totally.
next year or so. And I know it's changed everyone's life. I mean, it's definitely made me kind of like reevaluate a lot of things. I don't know if I would have even fully allowed myself to come to teaching if it wasn't for COVID, because I've been thinking so much as to like, life is short. Like, yes, there are things I enjoy doing, and I think I will definitely enjoy a lot of parts of teaching, but I'm also thinking about like, well, what is the impact I want to have in my life? Like, what are the things I want to look back and can be like kind of satisfied that I did? Because, like making and sharing and inspiring is great. If I could, hypothetically, if I could make like a living from that, that would be amazing. But at the same time, like there's a lot of burnout that I feel sometimes from like social media, and it can feel a little like vapid at times. And I'm like, do I really want to put all of my eggs in this basket that I don't like fully understand or I totally identify with? Like, it's a little weird. Like, I like a lot of parts of it, but like some of it I don't. And
Right. Like
I mean,
clickbait.
I really think everything is, not everything, but a lot is going to change in the post-COVID world, like in the world as a whole, but also in like my own life and the things that I, place priority on.
I think the world won't change, but some people will.
Yeah.
I think in going into the teaching and that sort of thing, I think that like I don't I don't think that anyone has become like profitable and in like life without risk, if that makes sense. Like millionaires and all that sort of stuff. Like, you're not going to become a millionaire without taking risks. Unless, like, well, no, even if you win lotto, because
But
technically you're taking a risk by playing lotto.
Yeah. I've maybe like to boil it down a little more. It's like to reach kind of like full self-actualization, you have to take on some risk, because you could be born into like a great situation, but like growing up in Buckingham Palace, yeah, you might have all the money and resources in the world, but you're also sort of like a prisoner of this system, and you don't have much freedom, and your life is kind of like set out in front of you. So not to make too much about Prince Harry, but I was
going to say, or you can just expose your family for everything.
Yeah.
But so I was watching, And They Make is a new thing that Priscilla and Luke Smith have started doing, and they posted something, I think it's today, but they posted, there's the 3-season life, and it's choice, chance, and change. You make the choice to take the chance if you want anything in your life to change.
Yeah.
And I think like when I read that, I thought it was a really good quote. I don't know who put it out there, but it's on the And They Make Instagram. So you should go check them out. But I just thought it was a really thing. Like, you have to make a choice. Like looking at Adam, he made a choice. Sell the game, right? Can't play it anymore if I don't have it. That took a chance, because you easily could have just been anything could have happened from that point. Yeah. But you wanted to make a change. Yeah. And that's what you did. And I think when they say take a chance, I think it's the same as saying risk.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well, I think that was a really good discussion. So I think we'll move over into the thanking. Oh, you got something more?
I can't believe we're 50 minutes in already.
Right. Well, we had a couple minutes of pre-show.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We did too.
So I'll say, if you're interested in the pre-show and this one, I think it's only a 2-minute pre-show. Usually we go for like a good, 10-minute pre-show. You can join our Patreon and you get access to a pre-show and an after show. And I want to say thank you to all the Patreon supporters. There's lots of them there. There's different levels, and you should go check it out at patreon.com/clamp. You also have, if you become a patron, you get a keychain made by the wonderful Morley. He is showing on the camera a letter that's going to be going out. I think this one's going out to Australia.
No, it's going to the USA.
Well, there should be. Should be 3.
Yes. Those are long gone.
Oh, he is on top of the ball. Yeah. So that one's going to the US of A.
Yeah.
I find it amazing when you put in the Discord that we got a new Patreon, and then like that day I get a tag on Instagram of Morley making another keychain.
I'm surprised. Baby. I'm surprised that Morley didn't just batch a whole bunch out and then just add the numbers.
Yeah. It's not how I roll.
That's okay. That you do whatever works for you.
Oh, you actually didn't do that. I thought Craig was
No, it's each bespoke.
They're bespoke, just in case he comes up with a new, more awesome way of making them. Yeah. So now I think it's time for Clampmendations.
Clampmendations. I have a great one for everyone this week. Andrew Bird is an amazing artist. He's pretty popular. He's trained from a very young age in violin. He's a great singer, guitar player. He's been in a few bands, and he's done a lot of solo albums. And just a few days ago, he came out with a new album with Jimbo Mathis, who is an old bandmate of his. And the album is called These 13, and it is very, very good. It's very bluesy, a lot of songs that would kind of remind you of sitting around a campfire. They're both fantastic singers and guitar players. It's just a great blues folk album. Eden and I were listening to it.
That does sound good.
Yeah, during dinner. And every song I was like, wow, this is really good. Oh, this one is also really good. He's
Cool.
if you've ever listened to Sufjan Stevens, he's not a similar style, but they have some kind of aspects in common. They're both kind of from that Illinois area. Yeah, check it out. And all of Andrew Upbird's other stuff is really, really good. He's an amazing musician.
Cool. Well, this week I'm going to recommend everyone check out Ffd Restorations because he made something that I think is super cool. So he's kind of had a little commitment to himself to only use hand or foot powered tools. So he has like a sharpening stone that's foot, like a treadle powered thing. And so what he did is he got an old foot powered sewing machine and he turned it into a Dremel. So he attached a Dremel to his, like he used like some gearing and stuff and made it so that he can use a Dremel using a foot powered treadle. And I just think it's a really cool build. It is not getting the attention that it deserves. It deserves way more views, and I think everyone should go check it out.
Awesome. Does it deserve 70 million views?
More than that, I think.
Right.
I think it's really like, and it's like it's a break from his style of doing like just these restoration videos without talking or anything. He actually talks to the camera and he explains what he's doing and why he's doing it. I thought it was a really like interesting way to go with his channel. So, and he's been talking about doing this for a while. So I would like to see him succeed.
Sweet.
He's a good guy. Yeah. How about you, Adam? As you yawn.
Sorry, I was yawning. My Clampmendation this week is a video by Andrew Zito, who's been on the podcast. And he made some climbing holds for rock climbing out of recycled skateboards. Now, the holds themselves isn't why I recommended the video. In a way. What I liked was the way that he showed different ways to make different shapes, like on the lathe.
Mm-hmm.
And to get like the different like concaves and convexes and that he needed, which I thought was really cool. So, yeah.
I can go use those. They're close enough to me that I can go use them.
Yeah.
So maybe one day I'll go check them out. Probably not because I wouldn't be able to do it. But they made a pretty hard little, like, I don't know if you watched yeah, I don't know if you watched the video where they show the guy climbing it. I'm like, no, not going to do it. And then Andrew climbs it. And I'm like,
I did.
You're still not going to be able to do it. Like,
yeah.
Zito has inspired me to get back into skateboarding. I'm going to do that this spring.
He's inspired me to get my lathe fixed.
He's just inspiring everyone on Clamp.
Yeah.
And also I live very close now to my uncle who is like in his 50s and skateboards and started it was all starting in the 70s. So I'll also be able to skate with him, which will be very good motivation.
Your uncle's Tony Hawk?
Yeah.
You heard it here first.
I've tried to skateboard a couple of times and I just don't have the balance. I don't know what it is. Yeah. I'm not like
sorry. We're just talking over each other a lot today. I was going to say like that was one of my goals. Like was I wanted to lose weight enough where I could skateboard again. And then like I get like these goals in my mind that are like really over the top. Like, oh, I want to like be able to do gymnastics or like backflips and stuff.
Yeah. My only goal I've ever set for myself is I want to do it's like the salmon ladder, but instead it's like pegs and a wall. I want to just Yeah. I want to do that. There's no way I'll ever be able to do it, but I'd like to do it.
I can't even do an unassisted chin up, better yet that.
Yeah, I can't do that either anymore. I used to be able to, but anyways, so people reviewing our clamps. Now, I know there's one coming down the pike, but I checked today and we hadn't received it yet. It has probably not been approved by iTunes or whatever. So Morley is saved from reading in whatever random I know what it's going to be, so I won't say anymore. But if you'd like to submit a review, Morley will read it in the accent of your choice. So as long as it's not too offensive. And And we're gonna, instead of reviewing in our clamps, we're gonna do a tool tip. I'm gonna start off. I'm gonna do, if you're assembling something with Allen keys, like IKEA furniture, just about anything these days, and you're like tired of like spinning it really slowly, you can just cut an Allen key and chuck it up in your drill, and then boom, you've got a powered Allen key.
I just have drill bits that are Allen keys.
Yeah, you can
Right.
also
But
do that.
in case you don't have those, I have those too, but not everyone does.
I know some people don't like to use power tools with flat pack furniture because it tells you not to. But another tip on that: if you get the long Allen keys, they are so much better to put in than the little Allen key you get in the packet.
Totally. I agree.
So my tip for this week is to save your work, because I did 2 hours of editing this morning and then I lost it all.
Nice.
Been there. Been
Yeah,
there
that was
so
fun.
many times.
And
Yeah.
related to Adam's, mine is to keep ratchet straps in your car, because you'll never know when your exhaust pipe is going to snap and you'll have to make a sling to hold it up.
Good one. Yeah. Back in the day, we used to keep mechanics wire in the car because
What is that?
we would DG. It's just like metal wire. that
It looks like metal
mechanics
wire,
use.
but it's
Cool.
So I don't know. It's called mechanics wire. It's good. It's usually used for like hanging like brake calipers while you're doing a brake job. That's generally where I've used it.
It looks like
Well-
the wire they put like chain link fences together with.
Yeah.
Just before we head out, I do want to say, like on the topic of trying new things and new beginnings, telling someone that you're doing something, at least for me, can be a great motivator to actually follow through on it. And it can also be pretty scary, because I mean, I'm talking in this podcast right now in a public forum about like this thing that I'm pretty sure I want to do, but like I haven't fully, dove down and now I'm kind of acting on intuition. So it might not all pan out. So it's a little scary, but it feels right enough that I would like to share it with everyone. So telling people that you're going to do something, I always find is a good way to kind of make you do it a little bit more.
That actually reminds me, I was listening to an episode of American Glutton this morning, and they were talking about the same thing. Like, talk to people in your life about what you, like your goals and what you're trying to do. And, they were saying that if someone's not interested or tells you to go away, they don't want to listen and don't care, then they're not a true friend. So anyone who is a true friend will like listen, and they might not have any way to help you, but they're going to care enough to listen and let you get it out there.
So I'll say two things to that. The first is, if somebody fails or doesn't follow through, don't chastise them too much.
Exactly.
Because there's nothing worse than when you're trying to do something like quit smoking, for example, and then you have a cigarette and people just rail on you. And you know what that makes me want to do? Go have more cigarettes, to just say, F you. The other thing I'll say is, when you're doing something new, tell the people it's your first time or you're new at it, because
Definitely.
otherwise people expect, like, they don't get in their mind, they think this person's probably got the same experience as me, or they at least have some experience, right? But if you're like, like me, and it's like, basically, if I were to try and join a hockey team today, even though I'm Canadian, it would be like learning how to skate for the first time. I would want everyone to think I was not Canadian. I would be like, no, I was born in Africa where they didn't have ice, because that's what I would want them to know about my skills as a skater. So it's one of those things that's like, tell people you're new, and they'll be way more accepting. I think.
Tell them even if you're not, and then you can just be like the new guy who's like really good at it for the first time.
Yeah.
Totally.
Under promise.
Beginner's luck. Yeah. Well, I want to say thank you to TF Turning for the theme song. He has a YouTube channel that just hit 1,000 subscribers, so you should go check him out. And he made the little noises that happen at the start and end of the show. Noises. I don't know how to speak. So I want to say thank you to everyone, and I want to, if you want to find us, you can find us on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook by searching for Clamp. We also are on YouTube, and yeah, thanks everyone for joining us this week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Australia is the only habitable place in the world. Done. I'm down.